So let's move to the last speaker of today, Maciej Gniady. Thanks a lot for being here with us, being brave to speak as the last speaker at today's conference. Let me introduce Maciej a bit. He is currently doing his doctorate at Jan Matejko Academy of Fine Arts in Krakow in Poland. And this institution is also a partner of this conference. He works for theaters, collaborates with the Polish Theatre Institute, and you could have seen his work. Aporia, the city, is a city at Prague Quadriennale 2 years ago. But Maciej is also cross-reality expert, and he will take us into the world of WebXR. So I'm really curious about this field and how this technology can benefit the art and online exhibitions, how we can utilize it. So I'll give word to you to show us this word of WebXR.
Hello, my microphone is working?
Yes, we can hear you.
So yeah, I'm Maciej Gniady, and I want to share my view on the education using the interactive media, especially cross reality XR, which is now something like a standard word, because I think the thing with virtual reality in the like a basic thing is the thing that it's closely tied to the medium, to the actual technology, and mostly I think it's like a real obstacle for a lot of people, both creators and students and viewers, to pass this border, and that's why I'm currently involved in education, using and about using the virtual reality, because I think it's still in its mostly infancy. I think it's like in between the situation that was with computers, when the first Xerox or stuff was like thousands of dollars, when it was like all-time high, and nobody would even bother to think about UI usability and stuff. And currently we have the same situation with the most usable, most client-friendly headset, virtual headset, the Oculus Quest, which is both the best and the worst thing that happened to virtual reality right now, because it's cheap and it's really like everybody can have it right now, but the thing is, like, it's really hardly tied to the corporation that mines your data, and it's creepy and stuff. And being like a good artist is always like trying to be in the outside of this this swamp of corporation and a lot of money, and use money to do something good, not to like be comrades with corporations. And I'd like to speak about a lot of things, but trying to compress myself to the 30 minutes or 20 minutes, because the thing is that I started to create virtual reality before it was cool, or it was never cool, I don't know. And the first thing was like, I don't know, 6 years ago, and I wish I shared the screen now. Okay. Yeah, so a few words about my prior work, before in the good old times when we could walk out to the some museums and meet each other, and yeah, I'm a intermedia artist, and I finished intermedia studies, and now I'm in the process of making my own PhD. But also, I'm like I was blessed and cursed with a grant, which is really nice diamond grant from the Polish Minister of Higher Education. But still, it's like a burden because when I started it, it was called uh, Art in Virtual Reality, like 4 years ago, and stuff has changed really really rapidly, and it became like a common buzzword for everything from the videos and 360 videos and just putting some pictures on the show, on the carousel, and calling it a virtual reality because it's online. And there's a lot of stuff that I have to bend for creating something comprehensive. And this is like one of my first installation that used prototype hand user interface. It was called cluster space, and it used because back then there was no like a really easy way to track movement in VR. So I used hands to try to navigate it. So you have like a golden apple of Aries, and you just push it around of the place, and some kind of volleyball movement, and you move around in this space. And it was entertaining for a bit. So, and my next like master's degree was about the elephant. The elephant is like the in the sense of the elephant in Asian, Pan-Asian story about seven blind people, and the elephant. And it was about the way how we perceive the world, or something bigger than us. And it was like seven people went to experience the elephant. They couldn't see him, so they touched him. So they used this haptic interface that we all have, and uh, seven people and seven ideas how the elephant is. So one person was touching his back, one person was touching his trunk and tusks and ears and stuff, and they all told something different. Like tusk is like a spear, so and the back is like a wall and stuff. So I use this story about how we perceive words like in a cone. So you just see one part of this word, and also I use these homemade actuators that I mixed with, mm, you know, um, it was a Vive HTC tracker or stuff to track the movement of hands, and it allowed people to touch the virtual elephant without being without even using the headset. You just could walk with your stick or this glove and touch the haptic hologram. It's not visible; it's just touchable. It was meant to be in total darkness to enhance the idea that you're touching something that's not there. And I was also a part of Dream Adoption Society. We used the medium of virtual reality, also cross reality, because we used HoloLens, the one of the first and I think the only good standalone mixed reality headsets. There's a lot of new ones, but they're still not so good comparing to the first one. And we've created a lot of something like a sneak peeks into the future of what would it be when everybody has to interact with art through the virtual reality. And the first one was made with my friends Marta and Jagoda, and it's called Not Found Structures of Virtual Freedom. It was made for Teatr Rozmaitości in Warszawa, and it's like a custom-made multi-user experience. It was it was made for the really cheap, really like lowest level budget VR headsets. So we created something really easy because back in the day there wasn't any like I think even the before mentioned Mozilla Hubs wasn't even operational, so we were forced to create our own, and this one was about the passage. So our friend here, Justyna Górowska, was dancing the Balinese dance to create some kind of a tutorial for people that were inside, and there was like 40 viewers, all of them in the goggles, and they were all in the same place. So it was like before, all the COVID stuff, and they were all dancing with the goggles without seeing each other. So it was kind of like a Cirque de Death or something like this, the carnival, and people were kind of enjoying it because the system of movement was really primitive, but still used some kind of a movement of head. You could use your head to move forward um, in the virtual reality. So the movement of the head, like up and down, was translated into movement forward. This was how it looked like with this server in the background. And the next one was Courageous Hearts. It was made with collaboration with Krzysztof Garbaczewski. It was our first together work. And it was about how Kościuszko met a very first black politician in America, and how the war for freedom in Poland was similar to war for freedom in America, for not only for freedom of Americans under the English people, but also from black Americans under the Americans, masters. And from the letters of Kościuszko, there was some kind of nuances that he made some comparison between people that were under the serfdom in Poland and people that were black and under the slavery in America. And and this was like a story behind it, like a necrotic story. And next one was Locus Solus. It was like a standalone installation that was shown in, I think it's in Linz, in New York, and in Paris probably, because I knew about this a few, and it's also moving a lot. And this it was about the story of it was a story about transgression between life and unliving, and it was made from the almost unplayable play. It was made for theater, but every other realization, I think, was not so successful. So the first one that was kind of, I don't know, experienced with some people that were telling us that it's okay, was the first virtual one. And it also consisted the scans of real actors and stuff. And it was shown in CSW Ujazdowski in Warsaw also. There was other theater plays that used extensively technologies of virtual reality and scanning. And this was like a re-edition of the first one, and this was using the real actors and inviting people for interaction with them. So the thing that was different now, it was like one of the actors was in both in the real world and both in the virtual world. So he kind of make it together, and he got hints from me because I was like DJing the whole stuff from the back, and to use some programmed things to guide people around. So it was like a herding of cats, and so he was like a herd of cats, and yeah, and only in New York we created some interactive stuff. This was like a cross reality play, and it was about meeting with Ginsberg, Białoszewski, the Polish poet, and Ginsberg, one of the most important beatnik poet of New York and America, and it was streamed from the and from the inside of the theater to the headsets of people that were in the audience. Yeah, also all these new words were were shown there. Yeah, and this one of this that was created with HoloLens in the like the center point, because HoloLens allows us to show something like holograms in the space. It was placed in space. It's pass through, half transparent, and one of the actors, or actually it was a monodram because it was one actor, was hidden from the audience, and he was streamed with array of Kinects. So Kinects created the like a dynamic hologram that was trying to fool the only one person in the audience, and it was made for like create some kind of simulation of AI. So the actor was playing the AI, so he was stuttering and trying to fool the audience, and sometimes it was successful. Yeah, and coming back to the topic, like the education. So before, like I don't know, year before the pandemic, we were starting with my friend like something like a Institute of Virtual Reality, or cross reality actually, because we had a lot of different events that were all using AR, VR, projection or scanning of stuff, and all of them were combined in some kind of like cross reality. So it uses the person in the space, in the volumetric space. And yeah, so we also were using Mozilla Hubs. It was extensively told about before, but we are growing kind of attached to it because it's dirt cheap and dirt simple to get somebody inside, and even use the built-in editors to make somebody create their own words. And And it's kind of important in the situation of isolation because I think the pandemic was like 2 years before it should happen, because now we have more way to use the virtual reality in the more volumetric way. All these Oculuses and cheap stuff that were flowing into the market, and it's less elitistic now, but still. And because now everybody was talking about virtual reality, but it's still not the same. Like if you have flat screen pancake virtual reality, you're just playing the game. It's not bad, but it lacks the depth, like literally, and lacks the ability to feel like the presence of people around you, because there's something about um, the VR chat, that it's making people feel like they're in the relation with other people, not only speaking with the flat screen. And we use it to create exhibition solely for the museum that was made for the old church in Bielsko. It's currently empty without any furniture or stuff, but it also has one of the most beautiful medieval paintings. And we've made it actually before a pandemic erupts, and now it serves the purpose of showing what's inside, even remotely, because it's on Mozilla Hubs. And some of the inside installation was using the body tracking to actually use only energy when somebody's looking at it. So it was more pragmatic, but still use the neural network to function. So yeah, this was created with archaeology in mind. So it was showing the layers of how the area of the church was changing in the years. And so it's like more 4D situation when you use the context of time, and show how it was changing. And it was using the photogrammetry in the really old school way. So we used photography and recreated the really low poly PS1 style inside of this church. And yeah, so yeah, host told about the Aporia cities, the city. It was shown in Prague like 2 years before, I think, and it was about how the city is in the multi-dimensional thing, even like a living thing. So there was a lot of connection between how a city is also like a not only a hive for living people, but also lives with the creatures that inhabit it. And it was created in a way of a virtual installation that was on place. And also you have a book that you can buy, and the free application to use it to see the virtual sculptures that were connected with augmented reality. And yeah, also when the pandemic erupted, everybody was like bound to their homes, and but the studies had to be continued. So it was a really hard time for us, for people that were doing the workshops and people that were students. And so we, with my friend, created like a virtual exhibition for for their work. So they have some incentive to create it, and it worked kind of well. There was like 40, I don't know, maybe 40 words that were created by students. They were created with asset that we did with my friend using the laser scanner. When the city was empty, we used like a really heavy duty laser scanner that is used in car crashes and military actions or stuff, and use it to capture the fading architecture, and some of the places that we captured no longer exist, and people were invited to create their own, use their own art and put them in the city, but in the visual representation of it. And yeah, the most the longest project that I'm currently in it is collaboration with Synchrotron Solaris. It's like a science facility in Krakow that uses the synchrotronic radiation uh, to study stuff that's in the in the ray. So you use the rays that are like 1,000 suns of power, and you can, without destroying the sample, you can, for example, take the painting and watch how it was created in the layers. So if there was another painting underneath it, you can unravel it. And it's used currently in archaeology in Torino for like, you can study with it burned down books or vials or something. So you can, read it without destroying the very fragile ashes of it. And we realized something like, I don't know, like popular science the show about how the synchrotron works. So this is like inside of the synchrotron. It's like a big accelerator of electrons actually, and it's really complicated stuff. And believe it or not, we realized the festival almost inside this room. So engineers were crazy about it, but it happened. And we used HoloLenses to show how the expensive machinery is inside. So we were allowed to go inside to scan it, and the holograms were shown to the people that were like around of the beton vault that was holding this specially created machinery. And I was really impressed by how the HoloLens is working. Apart from clunkiness and a lot of Microsoft magic that was making it almost unusable for a developer, and we use it for scanning too, because the one of the features of this marvel of ingenuity is like you can remember, it's remembering the places that you were in. So if you, for example, go through the labyrinth like in real life, it remembers the topology of it better than you probably. And so the next one, like year after, we were asked to create a really simple virtual reality ride. This one was like a first demo of it, and the another like editions were fancier and stuff. But the idea was about showing people how the inner works are doing. So we created 3D representation of waves, of electronic waves, And yeah, and currently we were working on the next exhibition with it. Also, now I'm now I'm like a professor, some kind of professor for my students, and we are creating some workshops with cross reality and stuff like this, because mostly the problem is with teaching something like this to students. It's like, okay, so we have virtual reality in the topic, but where is the virtual headset? Why we're not having one? And it was especially frustrating because I started this course during the deep end of pandemic, and how to create incentive for something like this, I don't know. And we made something like this, so people were creating their own virtual theaters using Mozilla Hubs. Of course, Mozilla Hubs is really like it's more of a communicator than content creating platform. It's more of for showing something static or looping, or mostly this, or maybe performances with live people, but it's not interactive in such a manner that you can play some scripts and it will be I don't know, looping, but somehow interactive experience. But still, on the level that because I was teaching people on the first year, so lots of them were almost never using 3D creation tools, or even I don't know, programming stuff or stuff other than that. And it was a struggle to create um, like a good way to convey the easiest way to enter the world of 3D creation. And we used, of course, Blender because it's free, and it has a strong following of people that teaching and learning in the same manner. And and also the Mozilla Hubs, because it's the second easiest, or maybe the easiest way to create interactive stuff or reactive stuff, and show it to the world like this instant. If you have a connection to the internet, and you probably have, and if you have a computer that's less than 8 year old, you could do it. So we use this, and the first problems were how to, tell the people how that they can make mistakes, and the mistakes are more interesting than being the like second or thousandth person that does everything by tutorial and creates a clone of the clone of the clone. And so it was like a real laboratory for me to create some because of course there was a lot of other problems, because lots of people have only one screen, like it's obvious. But when you do workshop and you do the showing like live, and they watching it on the small screen of 15-inch or even less laptop, they don't have much more screen to do their own work. So yeah, so we had to do this non-linearly. I created some tutorials and they were trying to follow it. And all this struggle was in actually in conversation. So we use a lot of like I used a lot of techniques to enter the situation that people are trying to exit their known media. Some of them were performancers, some of them were painters or graphics, And actually, the people that were from the like a standard painting background were really into creating 3D objects, because it was like a, I don't know, maybe easy way to redo their own work. And some of people that were into performance were really interested in creating some live multi-user performances using this technique, or even DJ shows. So, and it's also all really not complicated in Mozilla Hubs. The only real like a problem with hubs is like you have only 50% that you can allow to enter the room at the same time. But it wasn't a problem because the group was like 16 people. And yeah, so we created some insight work. And
Okay, I don't like to jump
yeah,
into your talk, but we're coming to. But I want to be
okay.
time
So I
conscious.
didn't watch the the time.
So yeah, let's watch the final example.
Yeah, so I didn't understand.
Yeah, we can watch the final example, and if it's okay for you, it would be good to close.
Okay. So yes, the thing is that it's ongoing struggle to create some like a I was teaching virtual reality because I was doing it for about 4 years, and the thing is that it's really hard to tell art study students on the first year or stuff to enjoy it, or try to create something comprehensive in virtual reality, because it's really complicated still, and uses a lot of layers of technology that most people are not familiar with. Even now, this is a lot of black boxes that you can't open, like how to for example, create your own headset. It's almost impossible because all of the technology is in China or America, and you know and and why would you want to do it? Because all of this stuff is still closed, and it's behind the proverbial bars of patents or stuff. So actually, this is the last slide, and I can close right now.
Okay, so let's do that.
Yep.
Okay, so thanks a lot. I think that you showed us really various examples how to apply that cross reality experience. So maybe just a quick question for you. Could you name maybe one area of art and culture where that cross reality has the greatest potential? If it's, if you're able to pick one or maybe two.
In art.
In art and
Yeah.
culture.
This is a like a problematic topic, because right now I've seen really like a movement in art, art business, where you try to get your living and sell your stuff. And actually, I've seen some movement in virtual galleries that were meant to sell your artwork. They were currently using blockchain actually for stamping their own work, and some of them were only flat, like just graphics and movies and stuff, but more of them are interactive right now. And this is really interesting, because I thought that most of the like installations is almost untransferable to virtual reality. Like there it's you can do the 3D representation even with the reactivity of the installation or stuff, but uh, the 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 physicality of the object is almost untransferable right now. without any physical haptic feedback or I don't know, drugs. And I think this is the one, like the business
Mhm.
is really trying to survive the pandemic reality. And the second one, I think, is still in the education, because I think that we still are really on the top layer of the depth of what we can actually do with volumetric media, because this is how it is. This is a media that allows you to enter it, to be in the volume. And the second thing is like education, or even something like transfer of experience. So
Mhm.
you have like I don't know, the stories of your grandmothers or stories of people around you. You can of course create something like a movie, but there's a lot of new stuff that you can use. You can for example, I don't know, teach neural network to speak like somebody, so you
Mhm.
can kind of immortalize person. There
Yeah, and
was some,
I've
yeah,
already noticed some of these activities on the internet.
yeah,
So that's right. Like there is a great potential for this bringing people that are not anymore with us to be still here and share their thoughts. For example,
yeah, but not in
famous
the
people,
emotional,
right?
not in the emotional way, but still,
Yeah,
because it's
also the thought.
if it's made like the virtual tombstone, it's creepy actually. But if you make it for because you're just wailing about yourself, and it's sick. But if you're creating it for another person, like you want to show how this person was, like for example, how people behave and how people were in 19th century, or I don't know, during the war, or stuff, something like this. um, you can, because it's like a human cancer, like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that like we have to close our discussion because
Hmm.
we're running out of time. But
Sorry.
and maybe we are ending up with a topic of Black Mirror a bit. But definitely, I'm glad for bringing these topics up, because that's what we have to consider if we are creating the future right now for all of us. What can happen? So thanks a lot, Maciej, for bringing all these topics up and
Thank you.
showing your examples. And also thanks a lot to Zlin Design Week, who actually stands behind the whole conference.